She move her body like a shaman. All in my head, so much in common. Just say that word, baby, I'm on it. If this ain't love, then I don't want it. She move her body like a shaman.
Alright, so hi, welcome to Culture Healing. So guys, I am back with another podcast, and I am back with a really awesome brother that I wanted to be on my podcast for like a few weeks now. I asked him and I prayed to the universe that he would come, and he is here today. So my pleasure in welcoming Hamish. Please let me know if I pronounce your name properly.
It's Hamish.
Amish, please welcome Amish. Now, I am not going to sit here and say, well, he's this and he's that, because I don't know half of what he does. So I will let him introduce himself and tell you guys what he does, etc.
Okay. I'm Hamish Ganga. I'm originally from Congo, Central Africa. I've lived in the US for over a decade, over 2 decades, I should say. Yeah, I'm just a Pan-African, Pan-Africanist, and I'm just one African who thought that he should speak for the voiceless and use his platform to advocate for some of the issues we have.
Okay.
And that's what I do. On the side, I'm an entrepreneur, so I have a few businesses here and there. I'm in real estate, marijuana, business, and tech. But this, and I'm assuming, and I know that the reason why you wanted to have me here was from a Pan-African,
Yes.
voice. So
Yes.
that's part of it.
All right. So I asked him here to just give us his view on him being, could I say African? Can I say you just being African?
I'm African.
Good. Boom.
Oh,
On his view.
I'm super proud of it. 100% African. Yeah.
Good. Well, I am going to say, well, his view being African and he being so close to the culture that we would have had, but we are scattered all over the world. So I wanted to have a conversation with him and bring his perspective in taking out the programming that Black people have when it comes to our relationship with men and the way our women are so disrespectful towards our men, but without knowing it, but not bashing women, but also making women aware of the reasons that they may do certain things and why, and the solution that we can have with these things that we do as women. Also, just having a voice from a man who knows himself, so he's not going to sit here and bash a woman saying she don't do this, or she don't wash, or she don't clean for me, or she's always being nagging. He will be able to not say those things and actually give you more insight into just everything we can solve this issue, basically.
Well, how do you know I was not going to bash women?
No, I did not feel that or your vibe from your page.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Yes.
But so I know. I guess I just heard the topic. But do you have something specific to ask me about?
All right. So okay, let me see. In terms of how we are as our Black relationship, we do not have a connection, period. We do not know how to be in a relationship, how to love properly, even how to love ourselves properly. We've never been taught something like that. So in your perspective, how can we, what is the problem in our relationship? Let's just start there. What is the problem?
Well, here's the thing. I can only speak for me and my experiences and the people that I know around me. I think with age, what we learn is, or what I've learned is, you are one person. You have your own experiences, You have your own. With experiences comes, bad and good. But with bad experiences come hurt feelings, and bad experiences um, can produce resentment, hurt feelings, things that we carry on with us throughout our lives until you have dealt with it yourself. Whether it's because we experience love from the beginning from our parents.
Mm-hmm.
Parents are our first, lovers.
Mm-hmm.
They're the people who show us what it is to love, what it is to be loved. And so some of us, quite frankly, did not get the luxury to grow up with that. And so that in itself is a problem. And of course, obviously, there are some social economical reason as to why that happened till this day. And a lot of it, to be honest, stems from slavery.
Mm.
And so a lot of us have these issues. Then throughout your life, you may encounter bad relationships with mates, uh, with your peers, and also there's a baggage that we carry from that.
Mm.
And then later on in life, some of us end up dating, some of us get married, whatnot, and that also may not work, and you also carry baggage from that. I think what is important to say is there are certain experiences, there are certain things that are not necessarily um, just the black community, not just the African community. I'm going to use African uh, because that's what I call everybody that comes from African descent.
Descendants.
Okay, and so when you have people acting a certain way or carrying hurt feelings into relationship, it has really nothing to do with whether you're African or not, whether you're European or not. However, what's different about it is that there are certain things that go back from slavery that we have carried on. And along the way, the colonizer has done his best to keep those conditions, present.
Permanent. Yeah.
And so there are things like that that we have to acknowledge when we talk about relationships between an African man and an African woman, regardless of where you are on the face of the earth. So, if you want to talk about the U.S. and what's happening here, or maybe the islands, but I can tell you for sure the U.S. is that you have a system that for so many years has rewarded the African woman to be by herself and keep aside. She had been rewarded because when you create programs that allow a woman to have her own home, have a stipend, have this every month, and have this kind of help. It's only if she doesn't have the man in her house. What that does is you're basically encouraging the separation of the black family. And so that's what the system here has done for many, many years. And so now we are just witnessing the children
of
these people that benefit. Right? So it'll take some time, and it'll take a lot of education, a lot of wisdom for people to realize that before you start blaming someone, you gotta see what system has been put in.
Yes.
Created, or that in which the woman and the men have grown up. Um, if the man comes from a family that was torn from a single mom, and um, he's never seen what a
Okay.
black dad, love,
Yeah.
or black man can do, then he's basically trying to figure it out on his own.
Yes.
And so what happens is when you have things like that you carry on through your life, because let's face it, no matter who you are, at some point, even if you didn't see your dad around, at some point you ask, where's my dad? Was I not good enough for him? And things like that. Those things are they're pretty helpful as you
Yeah.
grow up. You learn how to cope, and that could be through anger. That could be, you know what, I'm gonna figure it out, and I know what to do, and nobody will tell me. The woman on the other side, growing up from a single mom, could see a mother who is used to being the dad or the mom, and being soft at some point, and then being tough, and going to work, and then coming back, and putting on that dad space when they need a dad. So there are a lot of things that
It's layered.
there's different layers you have to uncover to really talk about. And so, unfortunately, what I've witnessed with the emergence of social media is that our sisters have used that to play onto the narrative of the colonizer. And what happens is, when you have, usually what comes out, even on social media, is usually what the person has in mind. The come from is a byproduct of the environment. If they are around men who are abusive, or they have dealt with a man who did this, they may not necessarily think logically that there are lots of men out there who may not be like that. They're gonna go on air and start talking about how they were hurt and how, like they like to say, men and shit.
Shit. Yeah.
And so then it only takes another woman who has gone through the same thing to jump on and then do say the same
Exactly,
thing.
and relate.
Women, and usually what happens with social media is that people tend to connect when they have, like this algorithm that are where, depending on what you click most of the time, is what you will see up in your feed. So it's a way to attract people who believe in the same thing. When you have platforms like that usually, if you look into that, a lot of times they're actually funded by the colonizers, who do not want us to. They do not want us to. See, I think I like to say, I love. There's a historian that I follow, and he talks a lot about how Negroes need to have their memories refreshed. So I like to say that I'm in the business of refreshing Negroes
memories,
because I think we have forgotten that for hundreds of years the families were separated apart, and that was their way to divide and not getting people tied up. And so when you have that, and these sons and descendants of those people, they're not going to want us to be united because of behavior. And so if those people end up in a position of power, and yet they fund our businesses and those platforms that we use to express ourselves, they tend to encourage division. It's entertaining, and so they know that the black woman is hurt and is scarred by many things. And let me just say this: African women on the continent, no, here or in the diaspora, have reasons to believe. They have reasons to feel the way they feel.
Mm.
There's been a lot of bad wrongdoing done by men.
Mm-hmm.
Just like there has been some wrongdoing done by women.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is you cannot go on in life
Blaming.
with hurt feelings and expecting a different result.
Yes.
Usually, what happens is what you carry is what you tend to
attract.
see. You tend to attract, so you're going to have that energy. And even if you come into a man who can be a man and wants to treat you well, without knowing you're going to stop that.
Yes,
But
agree.
you're going to whatever you saw into,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to I've been into relationships like that. I can tell you
Mm-hmm.
that. So I think it's important though to at some point realize that hey, between me and my own blood sisters and God, we can have disagreements.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we overcome that?
Mm-hmm.
So that we can how do we overcome that so we can move on as one unit?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think the beginning is to realize that is to know our history.
Yeah.
And that I always come back to that because I feel like our biggest downfall is to not know
who we are.
Not know who we are.
Mm-hmm.
And so when somebody tells you who you are, or you learn about who you supposedly are through the media, it's tough to really connect with who you truly are and identify with other people who do know. And so I personally always tell women, for one, like the bashing usually comes from. I usually hear women say, "Well, black men when they get to have money, they go and marry white girls."
Oh,
Yeah, right. Africans here, the women here, they are very serious about that.
Oh.
Oh yeah, they don't.
Please
like that.
tell me.
Oh, they do not like that.
Okay.
They don't want, like they don't. It's almost like they don't respect a man, a black man, who chooses to have kids with a white woman.
Wow.
And for them, the way they rationalize it, or the way they look at it is, okay, there are a lot of sisters out there.
Yes.
And the truth is, there are a lot of sisters out there, more than black men. That's true. But I think what people tend to forget as well is that that's not how love works. Love doesn't go. You are not born in Wisconsin or in Vermont or in Montana, which is
must love somebody from there.
Definitely white, and you tell yourself, "Oh, I'm gonna go to Atlanta and find my love."
Right.
That's not how love works. Some people would love to think that's how it works, but that's not how it works. And so what happens is a lot of men also don't know their history. And a lot of men are just a product of their environment. I'm going to use me as an example. Then I speak for my people. I am a I don't like to call myself pro-black. I don't believe in that. I'm pro-African. And so, but I have a child who's mixed.
Okay.
So I think it's important to look at everybody's circumstances, work, and all of that. For me, growing up in France, the standard of beauty was the white girl. That's what we saw on TV. That's what we saw in school. That's what we saw around us. And so, as your brain forms and stuff, you start to see the picture that, and so you're not even realizing what you're doing because for you, it is what you know.
Right.
And so that's no different than somebody who grew up in a Christian family believing in Jesus.
Period. Period.
So I think that uh, we need to stop with things that can divide us and try to see what unites us. For me, I was married to a white girl because I was in a state that is 90% white. My business was around white people.
Yeah.
My friends were white people.
Mm-hmm.
I spent time back then in gyms, and the people that I would see would be white. And I just happened to meet someone. Well, actually, before that, I had dated a few black girls with whom it didn't work out. But then at one point, I met the girl, and we got along well. So I thought, okay, after 4 years of dating, we ended up getting married. That did not work out later on, but I'm just saying that there was not such a thing as I'm better than black women.
Right.
I'm all of them. And so I think people sometimes assume based on their own experience, and they think nobody's like that. I'm one of those who just try to say, I think every case is different, but let's not dwell on what is irrelevant. We need to talk about how to build the black family, because I think us as people need to get over the trauma we have, and once we work on that, then it's easy to meet somebody that you love and make it work. I posted something on my page that was before you started following me. So down below when you scroll down, you'll see there's a story about African American African women here in the U.S. Just so that people don't get confused, I call everybody African.
African, right?
So the African in the U.S. is called the Black American. There are 5.6 million single women in the U.S.
I am looking for it.
It's about a couple months down, so it's gonna take a little while. I can send it to you later.
All right, no problem. Please do.
The story talks about African Americans and their choices, their standards, and the fact that they are single and all, and they have a hard time finding a man, a black man. The thing with African Americans too is very few Africans want to be with a white person. That's a good thing for us, but what that does is that it just narrows the pool. Now, when you look at the statistics, a lot of, I believe it's 1 in 3 black men is in jail.
Yeah.
The other one does not necessarily have the level of education that African have, because
yes.
here tend to have a higher level of education.
Yes, please.
And so the ones who succeed, they tend to look at men at
that level. Yeah.
And so that also then narrows the
it
pool.
down as well.
So
Question, just pertaining to that, do you think that was also a plot in terms of keep the man in jail and the black woman have no choice but to marry?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right.
The black men ending up in jail in majority is not a coincidence. They wanted to do that. That was their way to break down the family. The war on drugs and all that.
Yes, for sure.
90s. And so you have a group, a good numbers a good number of black men who are in jail. You have another one who
Is not educated.
educated.
Mhm.
Then it is the few that are educated. Then
Mhm.
what happens to those guys, those of us who are educated and who are not in jail, what happens with those of us who are educated who are not in jail is that then there's a lot more options.
I got you. I got
And
you.
not only from Africans, but also
Mhm.
white women,
Mhm.
Latina, or whatever you call it, Asian, whatever it is, right? And so when a man also comes from a broken background,
Right.
right?
He doesn't want to be with a broken woman.
Sometimes he may not.
Yeah.
And so I know for myself, I have walked away from some of
Mm.
them. And that was before I got married because I
Mhm.
wanted to get married with them. So I tried, and it did not happen. Now, um, I do think that putting men aside because they may have been with a white woman or they may be with white woman. Listen, as far as I'm concerned, I love the black women. I
Mhm.
want to be with black women. Um, and but at the same time, um, I cannot say that I've always felt that way.
Mm.
And that does not mean that because a man is with a white woman today, that he cannot be with a black woman
In the
tomorrow.
future. Yeah.
Give you an example. There's a couple that the black community idolizes.
Mhm.
Russell, Ciara and her husband.
Oh, right. Yes, yes, yes. Russell Wilson, right? Right. Uh-huh.
I don't know if you know this. You know he was dating when he got drafted. He was dating a white girl for a while.
Mm-mm. I
Yeah,
don't. Okay.
talk about it because they forget. See, that's the
That
thing,
I got
right?
you. I got you.
Right? So if you look online, there are actually lots of pictures of him. He
Oh.
was a girl
Mm.
until he met Ciara,
In South Carolina.
and boom.
Yeah.
So imagine if the black community had wrote him off
Mm-hmm.
from
Yes.
the
They want to have nothing to idolize right now. Yeah.
yeah. They and he would have been like, you know what, I don't want to do this because
Right.
yeah, I'm not. And so to me that has nothing to do with anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna use my example to say I'm speaking for my people. I'm
Mm-hmm.
speaking for the African woman. I'm speaking for
Mm-hmm.
the African men. I not only speak, that I actually invest money and time into projects to help Africans.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that I have a beautiful mixed child
Mm-hmm.
should not qualify me to help my
Not.
people.
Yes. Yes.
And so I think we need to stop putting people in boxes. And I think
Mm-hmm.
what happens is with women, I think this whole men bashing and stuff, it's emotional. It's
Yes.
emotional because it's not rational,
Mm.
and it's easier to lash on someone when it's not even that person that hurts your feelings. And so what's funny is that the same people who bash black men are looking for a black man.
Mm.
So it's like
It's like, what do you want?
right. So you can be online saying men and shit,
Right.
blah blah,
To
and yet
attract him at the same time.
right?
Yes.
I'll give you another example. At the All-Star game a few months ago in Chicago, I'm out with two friends, actually two African women.
Mm-hmm.
We went to a club after the party, and they were walking around, and then this lady comes to me. These two ladies actually come to me, and they want to say hi to me, and we say hi. And at that point, I was getting tired. I wanted to go home, go back to my hotel, and the lady goes, "Why are you leaving so soon?" I'm like, "I'm tired. I have to wake up early tomorrow." And she goes, "Well, we're gonna come with you." And I go, "I appreciate that, but not tonight."
No, right, right.
And she goes, "Why? Is it because we're black?"
Oh, come on now. We still wait, and then when she comes off in that insecure manner, how do you expect a man to respectfully answer you with that statement?
And
Right?
that's my point. Is
Mm,
that by her saying that, she showed me that she's broken
yes,
and
yes.
that that's not somebody I want to be with.
And that's the thing about it that I admire, right? Is that you are aware of her emotion behind that statement. Now, for
Mhm.
men who are not aware of how broken she is, will actually say, well, you know what, come with me. Or even if they are, they will use that insecurity that she has or that brokenness and then take her and do what he needs to do. And then when he does that, she gives her all to him, then she's gonna ask herself, well, why am I being treated this way? Because you're not aware of yourself. You're not aware of the brokenness that you're exuding from yourself. And people in those world will treat you like you're nothing. But that's how you're
Yeah.
treating yourself.
So I remember that day, when she said that, I was actually gonna leave, and I went, "No, I'm gonna stay a little bit." And I
Mm.
told her, I was like, "No, it has nothing to do with your color. Why would you say that? You don't know me." She
Mm-hmm.
goes, "I'm sorry. It's just that guys like you in LA, where I'm from, they end up going to white girls, blah blah, and
Oh.
I felt bad for her, but
Oh.
I was like, yeah, but that does not. There are also lots of black men out there who are with
Mm-hmm.
black
Right.
men focusing on the wrong black
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
men. So, there's things like that. It's just emotional.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To me, I don't even take it personal.
Mm.
Um, it just tells me more about the woman who's saying that than it is about anybody else.
And so would you, like, in a moment like that, right? Seeing how she's broken, would you make it a teaching moment if she's willing to listen, to say, you know what, let me drop some seeds here so that she could try to apply that and change that dynamic maybe with other people as well? What about us starting to
Yeah,
do
no, of
that?
course. No, of course. So what I did that night is, like I said, I stayed for a little bit, and I bought her drink. I bought them drinks, and I told her, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna leave, but before I leave, I'm gonna buy you and your friend a drink,
The drink. Mm-hmm.
and I'm gonna leave. And so I bought them drinks, and I chatted with them for a little bit, and she could tell. And so I told her, I was like, listen, you can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what I'm looking for. I actually love my black women, and I told her, I was like, listen, I would love to take you and your friend to my hotel
Mm-hmm.
and have my way with you two. But I told her, I was like, I'm that's not what I'm looking for. And two, this is not the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I told her, I was like, it's it's not what you're also saying, and the preconceived idea would have not made me want to do that because it's a turn off.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I really think there's nothing more sexier than to meet a woman who's confident
Yes.
and who know what she's bringing, and also really to trust you,
Mm-hmm.
with her life, so to speak. And
Mm-hmm.
so that, to me, that was just an example, right, to just show the emotional side of things. Also, the other thing too is that a lot of things that I hear from women is, um, yeah, most black athletes, uh, most black athletes end up with white girls. So I go, when it's like that, I always ask, oh yeah, do you know? Can you give me the stats?
Mm. Mm-hmm.
They go, oh well, many of them we see them on TV. I say, oh, but you think that the ones that you see on TV
It's
are
just it.
really? And
Mm-hmm.
I go, just give me
A
five that you.
name. Right.
And so they usually have a hard time saying.
Mm-hmm.
Then they're gonna talk about Kanye.
Oh Lord, no.
But
But he's not a sports. He's not a
that's
player.
that's my point. Is that they tend to take what the media want to show
Yep.
them
Mm-hmm.
and put it out there because the media wants to show a black man and a white woman.
Mm.
The media would not show or do stories about LeBron James and his wife,
Mm-hmm.
like that they've been together since high school.
Mm-hmm.
The media would not show Westbrook
Mm-hmm.
with his wife. There's so many that I know that are basketball players who are black men. In fact, I believe it's 87 or 90% of black men are with black women.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, the ones that I highlighted are the ones who have the white women. And so then women take that, connect that with the one man who hurt their feelings, and then think that that is their color because also they've been told for so many years, you're not beautiful enough.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is why I use my platform and I try to educate people, and I also try to empower women and black women to know that they are beautiful, and to me they are the most beautiful. But beauty also comes with the way
Inner.
yes, inner beauty. And for guys like me, we know so many, we come across so many um, exterior beauty, physical beauty, that unless you have something more than that to offer,
You're not gonna. Yeah, I said that to someone a few days ago. I was like, the way things are changing now, you will not see men irresponsibly just sleeping with any woman. That will not be a thing in the next 20 years. You will have to have some sort of substance, some sort of knowledge of self, and some sort of a location in your journey in order for you to say, hey, I want to give this woman a time of day, and women as well. You'll find that women are more responsible with themselves to not sleep with a man unless he knows. It's not going to be if you are working for the man. It is going to be what it is your diet is like, what business you want to have or accomplish in the years, what are your thoughts in parenting. Like those are the conversation that we'll be having in about 20 years from now. So you'll not see the irresponsibleness when it comes to sex anymore. It'll be
right.
nothing. Yeah.
The other thing too is, so going back to what I mentioned earlier about uh, the socio-economical and the politics of it,
Mm-hmm.
how the white man has, or I should say the government
Mm-hmm.
has done their best to divide
Yes.
families by also putting black men in jail and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like those black men are out; they're still in prison.
Mm-hmm.
And what that does is it puts black women, African women, at a disadvantage. From a demographic standpoint, women are already in the majority.
Mm-hmm.
More women than there are men in the world.
Yeah.
And couples have kids. There are more couples that are having daughters than couples that are having.
Yes. Yeah.
You already. Now, with me, being a student of history and studying my history, I've always wondered, knowing that Africans, our ancestors have been around for over 80,000 years before the white man stepped foot in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
That's a long, long, long time.
Mm-hmm.
Enough to figure out the suns, the stars, and all
Everything.
of that.
Yeah.
Had
Yes.
figured out.
Mm-hmm.
That's what a lot of people don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Just like they had figured out mathematics and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
This is now me as a student and growing up. I'm like, could our ancestors have figured out why polygamy was okay back then?
I love
So
it.
actually, as a man,
Mm-hmm.
I had to ask myself this question.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because when you take a step back and you put your emotions aside, you ask yourself, even if we were to put every black man that's in prison and all of that, put together matching with black women, or
It will
African,
still have numbers.
would there still be women single?
No. Yeah, a
And,
lot. A
and
lot.
yeah, and so what that tells you is that okay, you have a problem there, and you
Mm-hmm.
overcome resentment
Yes.
until you address the elephant in the room.
In the room. Thank
The
you.
elephant is that our ancestors had figured that polygamy that was the way to solve this issue.
Mm-hmm.
But there were never enough men for women.
Mm-hmm.
This is not an opinion, it's just a fact.
It's a fact. Yeah.
All you have to do is to go back to Africa and all and look.
You'll see.
Also talk to the elders, they will tell you.
Mm-hmm.
There were never enough black men. And so this is now where I'm going with this. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
maybe our ancestors were smarter than we give them credit for. Because they had already figured out. You know, when you talk to elders and historians, they tell you nothing is happening that hasn't already happened before.
Yeah. It's always a cycle.
It's repeating itself.
Yeah.
And when you think about that and you consider that, then you ask yourself, why are we trying to change things that have already been figured out for thousands and thousands of years?
The thing is, right? I don't think we were trying to change it. I just think because of the programming that we got during slavery, the white race was all monogamy in just one man, one woman, right? And they thought that to our people. And then when we left, it became a thing.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
What happened is the Europeans with religion
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
came to Africa and told us that everything about Africa was bad.
Yep. It was a
everything
whole
about
thing.
Europe was
Yeah.
good.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how they convinced us somehow to adapt
The monogamy lifestyle.
monogamy
Yeah.
and their style. Because monogamy, when you study, it actually was a move to a commercial move. It was to keep money in the family and then have a structure.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what the white men had used that for these purposes.
Yeah.
And so even marriage was introduced. You know, the marriage to one woman and all that stuff introduced. It's a pretty recent
thing.
concept.
Yeah, exactly. Because our marriage was not alter anything.
Yeah.
And a majority of the time, if it's so that we do get married, it is from a different village, bringing in togetherness and staying to bond in that culture. But it wasn't basically, I like you, let's get married. There was always a purpose behind.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's my point. And so this is what I'm saying. It's like studying history tells you a lot, answers a lot of your questions.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of times we tend to make decisions emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, of course it helps to share your
mate. Yeah. But who tells you that? Who tells you that? That's the problem.
Exactly.
Think about it that way.
Right. Yeah. And so there are a lot of things that happen, but the question should be, can I change this person?
Mm.
Can I control this person? And if you can't, then what you have to do is to take your emotions aside and say, let me be realistic. How do I make it work so that it works for the both of us?
Mm-hmm.
And the ones who have done that successfully have learned either one to not worry about what the man is doing as long as he comes home, or have sat down with the man and say, okay, this is what you get, this is what I get. And then they're able to talk and figure out what works for both. And if what works for both is to add somebody else, then they have added others to someone else. If what works for them is that the women would try to, not ignore what the man is maybe doing, that's what happens. I'm just saying that, in my opinion, monogamy does not work for us as a group.
Yeah.
Monogamy does not work for us as a group. And that's not to say, for your listeners out there, I'm not saying that
Don't
two people
worry.
cannot be married.
I'm about to
And
blow their minds.
right, I'm not saying that a man and a woman can be married and happily, together.
It's
That's
a
not what I'm
thing.
saying.
It's
I'm
possible.
just saying, as a group, when you look at those numbers and all of that, monogamy does not work for us. And so, what we have to do is to ask ourselves, what is it that works, and how do we make it work? I don't know if you saw. There's a story I posted
Recently, yes, I commented
years
on it,
ago.
and that's what I'm about to comment on. I said I'm about to blow their minds because I actually had this conversation before you post it with my mate, and I'm like, for example, I studied that a few years ago. What you brought up in terms of women outnumbering men, and then I started looking at our African history. Right now in Africa, there are men who are married to multiple women, right? But then I'm like, let's take sex out of the
Not just
equation.
Africa, Middle East,
Middle East as well, Asia
yeah,
too. Yeah, Asia as
Asia too.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, let's take sex out of the equation, right? What would you think is better? That's what I asked my mate. With how the black community is, we are not coming out of the slums. Let's put it that way. I was more looking at it in a logical standpoint. We are not coming out of the slums, but all of us are at home with one mate, working job to job, not doing anything, and then our children are left to the system, right? So what if we actually this polygamy thing came into play in terms of we get an extra woman, an extra sister wife, bring her into the home with qualities and skills. She can be the teacher of the home.
Right.
Yeah.
She can be the cook. She can be the one taking care of the.
Exactly. So that way we build our family foundation. And he was like, well, this is different. I'm like, yeah, you may think of it.
Who said that?
My boyfriend. I told him this. I brought this up. He was shocked as shit. And I was like, I am done for it. I've been thinking about it. I'm like, if in the future that we want and the things that I'm doing with my platform, and I do not trust the system with our kids. And I think us having a sister wife would be able to control my family diaspora when going forward. You know what I mean?
That's interesting that you say that, and I love that you're saying that because you're the one who said that to your boyfriend.
Yes, I did.
Where a lot of women think that it's only the man who's always oh yeah, it's about sex. The man wants to have this and all of that, and so it's good because women need to hear more women like you, and to hear the reasoning why. Behind it.
That, yes.
So that they understand. Because I have to tell you, I actually have friends who are practicing it.
Oh.
And even from a generational wealth creation type thing, it's actually beneficial to have this structure. Because you can, if you structure it right, one person can represent a company, or an institution, or whatever you call it, and so you can then with each wife create a company and create wealth that would stay within the family.
Yes, please.
And so, but it's tough to have a
conversation like that.
A conversation like that when the person automatically rejects what you're saying from the get-go. So I want to hear, actually now I want to hear your experience though. So when you told your boyfriend about it, what was his reaction and what happened after that?
When I told him about it, well, he knows me. I am a very logical person, right? And I don't just not bring up something without me thinking of it. That's me.
Right.
I always think through my plans. So when I brought it up, I said, here, babe, listen to this. Tell me your honest opinion. You do not have to agree with this. At the end of the day, you know the type of woman I am. And if it's so that you're not down for it, it is okay by me. Understand? So I told him, I said, what would you think about bringing in another woman into our relationship? He was shocked. I said, hold on. Not in the manner you may think. In the manner of, I've been watching what I just said earlier, the dynamic of the black relationship. And you know how I am with kids and we are bringing our kids from our spirituality and culture, right? I would like my kids not to be in the system. If I can bring another woman in with the same knowledge skill as we have and teach our children what she has, while you and I make the money, she is here. Yes, we are going to be sleeping together, but sex will not be the number one basis. It is to build our empire, it is to build our family. That is first before the emotion, right?
And so,
Go ahead.
So was he okay with that?
He was like, honestly, I respect him. He said, I need to think about that. That is different. And I can't think of actually having a relationship like that. I feel like you maybe may think that I may like her. I'm like, this is not my thinking. Or you know what I mean? He started to think about me and how eventually, if it happens, I may become jealous. Yes.
He's scared of losing you.
Yes.
So when you thought that in your head, did you think about a triad, more like where the woman and you and your boyfriend would be sleeping together?
Oh yeah. Well, I'm about to blow my audience mind because of the mistake. That's when you started earlier. I said I'm about to blow my audience mind. My family doesn't even know I think this way. Well, this part, they know I'm a forward thinker, right? But this part, I actually, my mother's gonna flip when she hears this. I actually do not mind another lady, and that is the honest truth. I do not mind another lady, but because of my history, I am not thinking of the sexual balance, but I have no problem with the
and so and this is why I'm saying there needs to be more women who hear you talk, because there's a misconception out there
about it. Yes.
I have dated quite a few women who actually think just like you.
Oh, really?
The problem is, there are a lot of women. Listen, I don't want to put
people out there. I got you.
I don't want to put people's business out there, but I was very attached to people who had already told me they had slept with women, they had dated women, and this and that. And I was just like, oh, okay. I didn't expect that, because you will never know. Why? Because it's such a stigma.
Yes.
And it's such a taboo, that people are so quick to judge women, judge people who do that.
Yeah.
To me, I even got to the point where I'm like, I would only be with someone who's open like that.
Yeah.
Because that's how I am.
Yes, and
so
understand.
I want a woman.
Yeah.
I want a woman who's mentally open, open-minded like that. And if she's not, that's okay. But maybe she's not for me, because I don't want to feel like I'm in another world.
Yes.
And she's right. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And but there are a lot more. The good thing is a lot more people like that now. They even there was a study. There's a study made on young women under 30, and 49% of younger men and women under 30 say that they were polygamous. No, they were polyamorous. So they were already into relationship with different people. And some of them know. And so my thing is, it's already there. There's a change there that's happening. It will just take years before people really come out. People are really talking about it. And I think in about 10 years,
it'll start to practice.
Our kids will definitely come and tell us, Dad, Mom and Dad, I'm with someone and I have somebody else. Or we're in a relationship. Things are changing.
Yeah, but there's a thing about it, right? That I don't want. That's when I comment under your post as well. I said, I don't want people to think of it in just a sexual base. Understand that our ancestors actually didn't do it in a sexual base. It was more to take that generation of group of people to further heights. You know what I mean? Creating a village of your own. So when you go into it thinking about, oh, I have a female and I have a male and it's just like this, you're missing the whole point of creating this structure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As Black people, we are outnumbered in the economy. So if you're going to go into one of these relationships, Go into it to build. Go into it like minds like you understand the spiritualness of yourself, healing yourself completely. So when you go into a relationship, you are not emotionally off balance because you see your mate may be with the other mate. You know what I mean? Understand.
So,
Go ahead.
so I get what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
You and I see it the same way.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is, the other thing though is, I think it's also fair to let people create what works for them.
Mm.
And by that, what I mean is, I'm African.
Mm-hmm.
What I know is polygamy.
Mm-hmm.
What I've seen is polygamy.
Mm.
And so I am for polygamy.
Mm-hmm.
But I also have to be, because otherwise it'll be hypocritical.
Yes.
I also have to be okay with somebody who tells me, hey, I am, I'm going to have a polyamorous relationship,
Right.
or an open relationship.
Right.
Because maybe for them what works is that they are married and that they just want to bring some
Somebody else
people,
in.
and whether it's sex or a different connection, we don't know that, right?
Mm.
Even the articles that I posted did not quite show that, but I'm sure it's more than sex. Because I think at some point you can't just keep connecting with people without there be some attraction mentally.
True.
So
True.
do you know what I mean? So I think for me, without knowing enough, and even from the story, there wasn't enough
No.
said there. And so I think without knowing enough, it's tough to really determine
Yeah.
what they're in for.
And just
And
how
so,
it edits as well. How it was
Right.
edited made it look basically in sex. The lady,
Right.
yeah, it made it
Exactly.
look that way.
Exactly, which I understand it could be for different reasons. It could be
Yeah.
for the time that they had to present the story. But
Mhm.
what I'm saying is, I don't think it's fair to assume that people are doing polyamory or practicing polyamory just for sex. The ones that I've seen, and in fact today I was looking at some of them. Some people are in it because they really enjoy each other mentally, emotionally, and physically. So to me, the way I look at it is, I'm just happy to see, because at the end of the day, what that tells me is that there are less women out there single. There are less women out there trying to
bumping from one thing to the
hate,
other.
exactly, hate on someone else who chooses to be with the person they love because they can't find somebody. I think is, hey, if this is what works for you, then go for it and be happy with it. If you guys have kids, great. And then make it work for you. What I mean? Like I really come from a non-judgmental place, and I just tell people whether it's polyamory and listen. I also know some couples. I've been approached a few times when I was younger. Like
Swingers.
couples what's that?
Swingers.
Mm-hmm. There are also some couples who are swingers,
right?
And they together and they have kids, they have family. And sometimes they go out and they want to take somebody. And then this guy told me, like, he wanted to watch me
with his female,
have sex with his wife,
right?
And so there's just certain things like that. Who to me, I'm like, listen, when it comes to sex, I feel like it's very complicated. It's, there's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah, it's secret, man.
Right. And we can't really judge what turns the person on. To me, I'm like, listen, whatever floats your boat, whatever works for you, go for it. I'm all for being honest and being open to your partner, so that you guys can have a healthy relationship.
Yeah, I agree with you. And when it comes to something like that, the response that he told me as well, he came a few days later and said, he's still thinking about it. And it's not something that we're going to do now, because as much as I am a forward thinker and the things that I do and post and practice in my life, we cannot see a female in any vicinity close to us that eats the way that we do, that practice what we do, that lives the way that we do. So even if we say, hey, I want to do this, we can't find another mate in that skill realm, because a lot of the people in the Caribbean, because even though I'm from Guyana, I live in Barbados. And a lot of the females here are broken, right? So even if I go and I say, hey,
When you say broken, what do you mean by that?
the relationship dynamic here is pretty single parent home, moms bashing on fathers, women,
Really?
yeah, they do not respect the men here, period. And the women here uses the men more than anything. They don't really say, hey, I love you, let's do this together. It's more, hey, I got bills to pay, so send me some money. And then once they do that, they then ignore the man until they want more. That is like 80% of the dynamic in Barbados right now, right?
Huh.
So they do not respect the man in any light. So with that, men now do not respect women, and it's a using situation here.
Wow.
So,
I thought it was just an American thing, but it looks like it's everywhere.
no, oh yes,
Everywhere slavery.
yeah.
But,
And the thing is, majority of the brutal slavery and the breakage of the slavery happened in Barbados. So the Bajans are more, or Barbadians, what we call them Bajans, are more submissive in anything. So all the programming that you have, you will find that these sets of people here are the ones that are gonna be like, man, let me not break up the ant's nest. Let's just do whatever they want us to do type of people. They are not really much forward thinkers here, right? So the conversation that you and I are having and just what I have on my page and my YouTube is something that barely a few people are having amongst themselves, right? So they're not aware that they are living in a programming and the day-to-day way that they're moving is not even their own thinking, right? So we have to deal with that dynamic here. So he's like, even if we decide to do something like that, I cannot see a woman here who can handle a situation like what you're bringing to me, right?
you guys may have to may want to move here. you come to the States?
I have never been. I have friends over there that wants me to come, but due to certain situations, I wasn't able to travel. But now I can, so I am working on all of this to be able to come down there and just
Good.
experience certain things.
Good.
So yeah.
Yeah, you might want to. Here it'll be easier to do to
Something like that.
to find someone like that because there are a lot of people here that are just ready to mingle. And, yeah, yeah, especially in the big cities, in New York and all. Yeah.
Well,
and
go ahead.
And here we have. So I'm part of an organization called ADDI, and it stands for African Diaspora Development Institute. It's an organization that we created to get together all the Africans on the continent and in the diaspora, meaning everybody who comes from African ascendant. And so we also throw a party every 2 months where we invite a bunch of people. So from there we have people from everywhere, from the islands, Caribbean, from the US, from Europe, and we all come together and we eat. We enjoy African food. We talk about different subjects. Yeah.
So, that sounds amazing, actually. That sounds amazing.
But that's to me, it's obviously. I mean, to sum up what we were talking about, I think there's a lot of emotional wreckage that needs to be talked about. I also think that even when we deal with that, and you have somebody who has worked out their own issues, they still have to face reality. And reality is that there's not enough black men out there.
Yeah.
And so I think it's important for women to open their mind. And I'm not saying, listen, I have a daughter, so I would not
say that lightly.
Something, yeah, of course, and I had to think about that myself. What if my daughter comes and tells me that and this and that? And I think it's important for women to face reality and to say, okay, I need to give myself these
thoughts, think about something, open up my mind to something,
and realistic expectations, so that I recognize anyone the minute I found out they like somebody else. So I personally think that if polygamy and listen, polygamy being legal does not mean that everybody has to be polygamist.
Yeah,
I don't
because you
believe
got to
for everybody.
understand. Yeah.
Just like when when homosexuality
Oh,
is legal
it's
here,
not for
that doesn't
everybody.
make me
Yes.
exactly doesn't make me homosexual. So I just feel like it's important for people to know that there needs to be those choices and those options, and that will help people then be honest and also treat women better, because the people that suffer in all of this are the kids.
Yes, please.
The kids could grow up in divided families, dysfunctional families, and then they only are more than likely going to perpetrate the same thing, and replicate the same thing to other people. So we have to break this cycle.
Yeah, we do. We definitely do. So, people, we're going to end it off here, but this conversation was great. So, I want to ask him if he can come back, not right now, but in the future, if he would come back again and continue this conversation as well, because I feel like if we are going to have a conversation about polygamy, right, we have to heal as a structure. We have to get back to our African spirituality, understanding each other, breaking the bondages, breaking the cycle, recognizing that you are actually mentally enslaved. You may not be physically anymore, but you are mentally. And for you to want to have a polygamous relationship, honey, you got to understand what you're getting into and understanding what the basic of you being in this relationship is. And it is to carry on your family empire. It is to take where we are, let's call it from the ghetto, the slums, where our Black community is, and take it forward. And it is not something that we or people are trying to force on you. Understand that what he said earlier. We're not trying to force on you, but if you watch the dynamic of the African people, we were a polygamous group of people, and we were people who respected each other on a level. There was no one higher or below any relationship structure in the African diaspora or whatever you want to call it. We always thought of each other on an equal level. So you being in something like that, you know you have to take on the responsibility of your emotion, meaning that if you're going to step forward to something like that, you need to understand it, to be healed, and to be confident about yourself. And that is what us Black women do not have. We are not confident within ourselves. Yeah. So,
well, good. It's good to I'd love to come back. Let me know.
Thank you.
And I think it's good to have these conversations so people can hear. If you're recording this, would you mind sending me a copy so I can put some of it on my page as well?
Definitely. I wouldn't mind doing that. So, with all of that being said, the conversation was amazing. It went where I didn't expect it to go, but I'm happy that it did, because when I brought up this subject and I commented on your post, I was nervous. Why? Because I didn't know how people were going to accept a thought like that, right? And then to see that people actually agree. And then I didn't even understand the polygamy and the polyamory that you differentiate from myself. Yeah, I was like, okay, I thought it was just that word. I didn't know there was more. So I was happy to see that people were actually open to that idea and was able to see it in that light. So that was refreshing to experience.
Yeah, that's why I share these things, so people can see that we are different, we're complex. And so we need to stop judging other people and also figuring out how to solve some of the problems we have, because that solves many people's problems.
Yeah.
Some men are just not going to be just with one woman, and some women are just not going to be with one man. And so, the sooner we understand that, the better.
Yeah, and it's better for our village. So, with that being said, would you please let them know where they can find you, what you do again, so they can know everything about you?
Sure. Well, I don't like to talk much about my business stuff because I just feel like it's not important. Well, they can find me on Instagram under Hamish Africa. Hamish Africa is HAMISH Africa. I'm on Facebook as well. I don't use it much though, and I'm part of ADDI, so I think people should go and check out our ADDI.org or .com. some organization and sign up and leave their info there. Yeah, anytime they need me, I can be there for them, and so the rest is just materialistic thing that the European starters. I don't like. I've grown to not care so much about that. So I don't want to be the one who is known because of what I own. I think it should be because of what I stand up for.
Absolutely. I respect that. I respect that. So with that being
sounds good.
Yes. So with that being said, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. Let us know in the comments what you thought of the topics that we had. I know that you guys are going to let me know for sure, especially about this. And I cannot wait till my family call me and ask me if I'm crazy. So
oh wow. So that's right. So they don't know. So they're gonna learn.
Especially my sister. She's gonna be like, "You say what now?" And I'm gonna be like, "Yes, honey, your sister is like that."
But you know what? You know what? How do you know there could be a lot more women who feel just like you, but who have not come out?
True.
So
true.
So that now they know. And
yes.
if there's one that you know, send her my way because I'm looking for women like that. Like that.
I will.
All right.
I definitely will. So with that said,
you.
I am going to end off. Don't hang up, but I'm going to end off the podcast here. So thank you guys. Let us know what you thought about the topic. Go visit the guy's page. He does great things. Honestly, he truly does great things. So check him out and give him question first before we go. You used to do YouTube. Would you do like sit downs like this with people? Would you be interested in doing this? Because that would be good.
I thought about doing that. And what I found is there's just little time. Like I'm back then when I was using YouTube, I was in a different business. I owned gyms back then, and all. Now I'm into real estate. I'm doing this whole philanthropy thing and tech and starting this new company. There's so much work that I have, and I don't quite know if I will have time. So yeah, I'd love to. We'll see. If I have somebody who can set it up and take care of that, then maybe I will in the future.
I got you. No problem. Because that would be really good. Because open conversation with yourself and other people that think like this would be good for the structure of people. Bring awareness to things. All right. I will.
Yeah, for sure.
So with that being said, bye guys. And hopefully in the future he does do YouTube page. With that being said, have a great day and be awesome always. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Hey you. Yes you. So thank you so much for watching my video, and I hope that you enjoyed the video, and thank you so much for coming to my page. So I would like for you to subscribe, and I also want you to watch the last video, and I hope that you enjoy everything on my channel. Thank you.